All right, so welcome to another episode of Ghetto Antiques Roadshow. We're listening to Victorian music because the item is Victorian. It arrived from eBay, and I'm not even sure what it is actually. I was going to get a scissor, but I see a spot here for opening. If I can grab it, there we go. And I've been getting into different things lately. That's the beauty of collecting antiques. You don't always have to collect the same thing, which is fun to branch out and try new things. Let's see what we got here. And so I started getting into books. Books interest me. And let's see what we got here. Aha! All right, so we got what's called, basically, it's sort of a pinup girl book. So when I say pinup book, these were considered pinups of their day. Just women like this. And so these are getting to be very collectible, these type of books, with color bookplate illustrations in them of fancy ladies. And this particular author, George Bar McCutcheon, was actually a well-known author back in the early 1900s. And I'm talking like 1900, 1906, 1910, like right around there. And he had written many books. As a matter of fact, some of them turned into films that we know today. One of the books that McCutcheon wrote was called Brewster's Millions. And in today, actually in the 80s, they came out with the movie Brewster's Millions with Richard Pryor. That actual movie was after the author of this book. This book is called The Alternative, and it's getting very hard to find these books in good condition. 9 times out of 10, the spines are bumped really badly, and the pages are falling apart from the binding. But this particular one, I only paid, I think, $5 for. And some of them in really mint condition sell in like astronomical price ranges, like $80, $200, $250. It's interesting to find out that there's some notations generally, sometimes written inside these books with people's names. This was, I think, $2 when it came out, which was a lot of money, actually. Here we go. And it's in actually really sweet condition for an old book. And I'm turning the pages as carefully as I can. Now, this particular one was written in, let's find out what year. And I'm going very carefully about turning these pages. And it was written in 1909 and printed by the Dodd Mead and Company. And what I'm noticing with these old books is they were actually printed by many different companies. So the same title would have been actually printed the same year by many different book publishers. Some people that collect these books only look for certain book publishers. That's another way to branch out your collecting. What's great about this is it has photos, well, actually prints, colored prints, and they were actually done by, in this particular one, by a famous artist. So let's check it out. And actually, let me take my phone off the stand so we could see this better. Now, here we go. We're going to look at this. Now, this is really great. Now, there was many famous artists of the time. One of them, number one, for these beautiful pinup ladies was Charles Dana Gibson, who illustrated many photos of what was known as the Gibson Girls. And the Gibson Girls were these ladies with these beautiful, let's try to actually zoom in if we can. Okay, these Gibson type of girls with these fancy updos. And unfortunately, my phone is casting a shadow. But there you go. You'd have these type of fancy ladies doing various things. Other authors actually used these famous illustrators to put colored book plates inside, colored like little, I guess, lithographs or whatever you want to call it, or covered plates inside their books to illustrate their books. And they used artists such as, there was many famous, by the way, that if you collect these old type of books, you look for these particular illustrations from certain artists. One by the name of Harrison Fisher. He's really well known. So a lot of people like me like to collect books with colored pictures by Harrison Fisher. Another one was Clarence F. Underwood. He was really well known for making these Gibson type of girls as well. I'm trying to think of anyone else. There was Howard Chandler Christie, and his girls were called the Christie girls. And well, Charles Dana Gibson was the number one person, but these people came after him and became very famous. So here we go. This is actually, it says, Agrippa, come here, sir. And it tells you page 51. So this picture has something to do with the text on page 51. So let's go through this and try to find other colored photos if we can. And these books were like sort of romance novels. They were like sort of what they were known at the time as Valentine novels. They were cheesy. They were very, very saccharine and sweet. They were like romance novels of like even today. And as you remember many years ago, the romance, like the Harlequin novels, like with Fabio on the cover being the dashing man that the lady would meet. And so this was sort of like ladies type of books back for the day of this time frame. And ladies would like to read these little like pretty cool little love stories that were, like I told you, very, very cheesy and very, very sweet and sort of like not something that would have really happened in real life, if you know what I mean. So let's try to find, is there any other illustrations in this book? Hopefully there is. I only paid like $5 for it. And there is one here. I could see it if I can actually get it to turn to the page. Here we go. And here's another illustration, and it is really great. Look at this. Okay, so it says, he was there. In fact, he opened the door and assisted her to alight. And these prints are actually highly collectible. Let's see if there's any more throughout this book. I really don't like flipping the pages on these old books like I'm doing, because you don't want to mess with them. Here's another interesting picture. Let's gently pick up this book because it's in really good shape. And this one says, I am Miss Defoe's secretary, she said quietly. And that's for page 83. And let's check this out. See, here's another one. This says, her eyes were closed. He kissed the lids. And this is really, really quite cool. Look at this. Look at that old lamp. I also like to look what was else in the picture so you could get a feel of what it was back then, how everything was. Now, sadly, a lot of these colored book plates fall out of the binding. And so you'll actually see this type of thing. Here we go. We have tissue paper protecting it, and we have what looks like a pencil illustration. The worst part of all is, I think this doesn't belong with this book. The seller probably stuck it in there, but again, this is in really sweet condition, as you can see here. Really, really, really wonderful condition. Usually the pages are falling out. There's a lot of foxing, like with spots and mold and what have you on these old books. But this one is in beautiful, beautiful condition. For $5, I couldn't pass it up. Now, sadly, what happens with books like this is a lot of people end up doing naughty things with them. So the naughty things they do with these books, especially with these pinup girls, is they actually take these old books, these beautiful, beautiful works of art, piece of history, and what they do is they take the colored book plates out of these books and they actually frame them and they destroy old history. So you'll get an old book like this that's actually in intact condition, actually quite lovely condition, and they'll end up taking out all those colored prints and put them in frames and destroy them. So why? Why do people have to ruin good things? I don't know. But sadly, people do that, and they actually make money off of doing that. A lot of flippers on eBay will find these old books in thrift stores, rip out all the colored plates, destroy the book, and then get a cheap frame, and then triple and quadruple their money. And I hate people like that. Sorry, if you do that, I can understand if the book is in really, really awful condition and is falling apart. Fine, then do it. But if you have a book that's actually over 100 and, oh my God, 110 years old, 112 years old, 113 years old, please, for the love of God, keep the history alive. Do not destroy these old books just to make yourself a little framed pinup. It pisses people like me off. But then again, you can do what you want with whatever you own. If it's your item, hey, if you want to destroy it, go ahead. But there's not too many of these things left today, and they're getting scarcer and scarcer and harder to find. So please be kind to these old books. Thanks for watching.